I wanted to talk about my story with negativity and kind of how I've experienced that throughout my life. So, growing up, I've always had everything handed to me. I was one of those kids, those spoiled kids that got everything that he wanted, whether it be some new toy that came out, some toy I saw on TV, maybe some game, clothes, shoes, like you name it. I was super spoiled growing up, and particularly my father was a very negative person. Still is, not was. He's still alive. But I'm much more like aware of it now that I'm an adult, being 21 years old. But I remember when I was approaching my early like teens, maybe like 12 to 14 years old, I remember that every single day on the way to school, because he would be the parent that would take both me and my siblings to school the most. He would always have these long talks and rambles on how life is difficult, like because me having everything growing up came majority from my mother. Like a majority of it was because of my mom. And my dad was not a big fan of that at all. He wanted us to know like the struggle of like working hard and actually getting what you want. Pretty much working hard to get what you want. And he was just not a big fan of my mom just giving us stuff like that. And I'm not gonna lie, for a long time I was actually really guilty of just reminiscing about the way I was raised. Like part of me like wished I struggled to get what I want, because I wanted to know that feeling, and I kind of still do, honestly, knowing or wanting to know that feeling, which I'm currently trying to navigate in my life because I'm already 21. There's obviously gonna have to be some new foreign things that I'm gonna have to be doing that I'm not used to, and I'm up for it. I'm up for facing new challenges. But back to the story. Pretty much, my dad would have these rambles on how we were never going to be able to achieve anything, kind of down talk us on how like we have life so easy. We don't know like how, like we don't know the struggle. We don't know the hard work of actually getting what we want, and we're pretty much doomed. Like we won't know how to like take care of ourselves properly because we just had such an easy life. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it kind of still happens, just a bit though, but I'm honestly more aware of it now. But to be honest, I'm so thankful for my mom because she's the person that really had the biggest influence of me of not being negative. Because usually growing up a certain way, it tends to rub off on you in some point in your life, but definitely not me. I can confidently say that I am not a negative person. I am, in fact, a pretty positive person. I would like to think so. And I pretty much am pretty optimistic about most things. But just growing up around this pessimistic parent who's always just expecting the worst, reminiscing about past stuff, and pretty much just down talking, just having this negative vibe about him, it was pretty hard, honestly. And these days, it's a little easier to navigate now that I'm an adult. But just negativity can be, it's like living in a negative mindset with a pessimistic point of view is really shitty. It's a really shitty way of living. Like based off my father's like just way of living, who still kind of has the negative vibe to him. It just makes me sad a little bit, and it kind of makes me just think that that's definitely a life that I don't want to live, and that I don't want to have influence upon in my future family that I plan to have. Like I'm gonna make sure that my future kids don't have a negative parent. I want them to always be surrounded by optimism and with as minimal pessimism as possible. So if you currently live a negative lifestyle, being surrounded by negative influences, just know that I know that pain, and I'm very sure that you are not alone in that. Be more optimistic and don't let negativity consume you.